you regard as essential skills required from translators for efficiency to work in an office?
Well, within the framework of etransfair project, we had quite a lot of discussions about these issues, and the result, the main product of the project is the competence card, which contains basically all the essential skills that would be required from translators. Since this competence list will be made available within the framework of the project, I would rather focus on some other elements. And these are the key aspects of the competences: knowledge, skills, attitude, and sensitivity. And here I would highlight the knowledge aspect, because as you will see in the competence card, this contains quite a lot of theoretical parts. And sometimes students also ask, why do we need theory? Why do we have to deal with these issues? We will work on the market and we only need practice. And the main idea behind this knowledge element is that students on the market also have to be able to defend their choices, to verbalize phenomena, to verbalize problems, and without the theoretical knowledge there is no chance they can do it. So I think this could be one of the also essential skills and not only knowledge that is important in this respect.
What will you require as essential skills to be developed by the training institutions, and what are the ones that can be improved in the office?
Well, in order to be able to answer this question, I think first you have to recognize that teaching itself is also a profession. All of the skills may be developed in translation bureaus, of course, and then some of the skills may be developed at training institutions. But there must be a close cooperation between the two. Let me take an example. We always have long discussions with translation bureaus when to introduce CAT tools. Translation competence and technological competence in this sense are closely related, and it is always a question when to develop, when to introduce the two of them or one of them. There are some research works that have shown that CAT tools may have an impact, a negative impact on the development of translation skills, as working in these softwares may impede in a bad way your view of the text, and it's very difficult to consider the text as a coherent whole. And if you introduce CAT tools at an early stage of this translation competence development process, then you may end up not developing the translation competence. So you may develop the one, but have a bad impact on the other one. So therefore, it is always very important to consider at which stage you introduce the two.
What are the major soft skills that students need to improve before they enter the market?
First of all, we have to know and accept that soft skills are equally important as hard skills, and the training institutions have to develop both parts of this competence list and skills list. As for the soft skills, what kind of skills are important? I think what translation bureaus most often are complaining about is that graduates cannot accept feedback, for example. They cannot keep deadlines. They are unable to take responsibility for the work they submit and so on. And this is then the big chance of training institutions to develop these skills, because these are really skills that should be and can be developed at training institutions and not on the market. On the market, they already have to carry out works based on these skills. So this is our big chance, and we try to meet this challenge. We have, for example, a mentoring scheme where students can cooperate and work together with outside experts, real translators, so to say, and there they have to carry out real life works, and there they can learn what is the impact, what is the negative impact if they cannot keep a deadline, for example, or if they are not polite with a revisor, for example.
In your curriculum, is there a course dedicated to terminology? In what other courses is info mining integrated? Is it also a separate course, maybe?
Yes, at our training institution, the BML Center for Modern Languages, we have a separate course for developing terminological and info mining competence. And I think in most of the cases, this is the case at other training institutions as well. The question rather is, what are the contents and elements of a terminology course? In my experience, at most training institutions, a terminology course focuses on terminology management. How to upload a database, how to manage terms in a database, and so on. But I think that there is another part which is maybe more important, and this is the theoretical part. Terminology is not only a bunch of terms, the work behind or the theory itself. It is also a way of thinking. It is also a strategic tool that may enable students to decide among several choices. So it may be, as a strategic tool, a big help for them. Therefore, when we speak about the terminology course, this theoretical part should be a key element. Let me mention an example. Let's take the translation of GmbH, for example. So if we take the German-English language pair, you may translate GmbH into English as LLC, PLC, or even leave GmbH as it is, or use LTD as another example. If you look up in dictionaries or in terminology databases, the equivalent of this German term, you may find all these equivalents as synonyms, but these are not synonyms at all. The question is whether you want to stress the similarity or the difference between two different conceptual systems, because in this case there is only partial equivalence between the two terms. And in the first case, when you stress similarity, then you follow a so-called domesticating strategy, and if you stress the difference, then you follow a foreignizing strategy. You have to be aware of this fact and of the strategy you use, because in the case of the domesticating strategy, you may mislead your target audience, and especially in the case of legal translations, this may be very dangerous. So in that case, it is sometimes, or in most of the cases, better to follow a foreignizing strategy. If students are not aware of this theoretical background, they may confuse these terms, and they may have a negative effect. And if a revisor then finally corrects the term, they may not defend their choices and not explain why they had that specific equivalent in the target text.
What would you change or do in your training program if you were the head of your organization to help improve students' terminological or info mining competencies?
I think graduates have a chance to develop their terminological and info mining competence within the framework of a terminology course. But of course, students face terminological problems not only in a terminology course. They face terminology challenges and problems in every course, basically, of the translator training program. Therefore, I think a big challenge for training institutions is how to develop the terminological skills of teachers, and how to integrate terminology in basically every course of the translator training program. So an ideal case would be when a student comes across a term that causes difficulty, then the teacher, irrespective of what course we are speaking about, can help him or her. And I think we are not at this stage yet. We try to solve these problems within the framework of the terminology course, but these terminological skills, both at the student, either at student or at teacher level, are not yet integrated into the other courses of the translator training programs. Therefore, at our translator training institute, we regularly organize workshops for our teachers, regularly try to involve them into our terminology projects, and we really hope that with these events and with these workshops we can achieve the ideal case I have just described.